Welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we visit the Mandela Effect as we talk about Keiko-vember's second choice, Kazaam. I don't know how we missed this one for so long either. Don't ask. We've talked about it for years, and so it's nice to finally do the Shaquille O'Neal movie, which, frankly, kind of sort of should have been our thesis statement. But in the meantime, it was a blast to do, a blast to record, and frankly, it's always good to hear what you think. So please let us know what you think of it, and share, and like, and do those things which keep us on the charts. We just did a bunch of scheduling, and frankly, we only do this because you encourage us to do it. So thanks. Welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we watched Shazam. Wait, what? What universe is this? Kazaam! Kazaam! That's this dimension's version. I'm your host, Nick Hoffman. Ripper at Cineprov. And depending on when this releases, check out the Terra Art Theater for our next show. And on panel we have...
Alex, what's up?
Keiko.
Atlanta author Matthew W. Quinn, who raps on the head of a pin, and okay, I'll show mercy now and stop.
You rhymed one whole thing.
Wow.
Keiko is suitably impressed.
Off the dome, bro.
She's impressed because I'm not a pest. Remember, I am a pest. And that's the rest.
Do it again, Matt.
Hands in the air.
It's been a one-man rap battle.
He's going to lose himself in the movie.
But yeah, I'm Atlanta author Matthew W. Quinn, who will torture everyone with my horrible rapping. But let us continue.
This is true.
Oh, and to those kids from Georgia Tech who are working on their master's thesis who interviewed me, hello. I am still here. It's not. They're like, can we listen to your podcast? I'm like, absolutely. The future professor
said,
of us
no,
all.
you can't.
Kid was getting his doctorate or something in AI, and I'm like, you want to listen to my show? Are you gonna steal my identity? Anyway,
Skynet probably already has.
well, they could do some of the editing if they're gonna steal my voice.
The next GPS voice is going to be like, welcome to your drive. Today we're going to...
Well, after Mr. Beast went down hard, if they're looking for someone else to do everything, I'll be happy to take your millions of dollars. I look puckish. I'm a white guy with brown hair. What else do you want?
We're talking about Kazaam.
Not yet, no.
Or Mr. Beast. I mean, he's just like a total fraud, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
He fell harder than Shaq's rhymes.
Yeah, he was like the good dude.
It was just... I always got a weird vibe from him, but now he's destroyed
What did
everything.
you do? What happened?
Everything.
I know he sold chicken nuggies.
Oh, no. Oh, my sweet summer child. It went from him being like that funny guy who did things where they were like extreme, like it was almost like Chris Angel shit, to then going to like one of the people who worked for him was grooming 11-year-olds and then went down. He had gotten an Amazon show and they were talking about like treatment that was akin to war criminals. Like he's being sued for like mistreating the people, going through his extreme stuff. And then have you even tried that circle stuff, that water bottle he owns? It's terrible.
Is that at Zaxby's? They have that at Zaxby's.
He had Mr. Beast burgers too that you could order from places. That was
Yeah, it was a Mr. Beast box.
So my honest answer to this is, other than relating to people who are groomers, which I don't want to say I sympathize with them because I don't. No, I just mean like it's hard to know people's secret lives, and just because someone works for you and they're a bad person doesn't mean you're a bad person. However, I get the feeling too that this 20-something or early 30-something who is now worth $500 million made a lot of money really quick and hired on people to do things for him. And they turned out to be shitty, and now he's going down like the Hindenburg. And so part of it's his fault, but it's also not entirely his fault. Mm-hmm. And it's just sucks because every now and again, they bring down a millennial when we should be going after baby boomers. And that if anything is the moral of all of this, is that Gen X, they don't matter. It's only millennials and boomers, and then eventually, now all my daughter says is bruh. So we're
Same.
stuck. So Shazam. I'm gonna keep doing this. So Kazaam, Alex, plot synopsis.
Sure. So Max Connor, a
That-
beleaguered young man who goes to school and or really just goes out on the street or is on his bike or anywhere in the world he goes is stalked by a gang of sort of inner city youth that goes to his school with him.
Oh no, a
They
bunch
look
of
like
cliches.
They're 18 years old and he's 12. They just sort of rough him up every time.
This is why you don't have middle school and high school in the same school.
I do. I literally have the same grades.
Yeah. So his mom is dating a firefighter, Travis, who seems like a decent guy, and she wants to get engaged to him. There's some paperwork to clean up because Max's dad, who hasn't seen him in about 10 years, hasn't signed a few things apparently. So, I mean, everything really kicks off when Max is pursued into a warehouse, I guess the lamp store, which has a boombox in it, and he's sort of
Abandoned.
right,
store.
an abandoned lamp store with a magic boombox in it, and he's sort of thrown around and roughed up, and I guess he makes the initial wish somehow, or the boom. I don't know what exactly happens to kick this off, but
No, that's a good way to go.
Kazam materializes at that point.
No, and I would just want to say, you highlighted in your little synopsis everything wrong with this movie. There's so much going on. Like, it would have been easy enough if this kid was, well, what was the movie we did? Trading Moms? Trading Moms had a lot of problems.
Which movie's better, Nick?
I would say this only because of
I'm
the
going
rapping.
with Kazam. I'm going with
This
Kazam,
is,
absolutely.
But I will say, the nice thing about that, the plot was so simple.
Right, it's
they
easy.
don't like the mom. The mom, kind of stern. We're lucky it's not 3 years later where they call the mom, what a bitch. Because, anyway. But this involves the Mickey Mouse Mafia. Like,
Yeah.
there's...
We haven't gotten to Melik yet.
No, but like, there's the mafia. His dad is bootlegging albums. The mom trying to leave him, presumably because he's a scumbag. We don't like. There's no like other woman though. I thought that was what Moon was going to be. Like the other woman, that's not even there. But there's so much violence and nonsense. There's a gang after him. A gang which is, we say they're bullies, which they are, but they're also big enough to break into a record studio and steal an album. Like, there's so much else going on other than this whimsical kids movie about a genie.
It's the last third of this movie gets super dark.
The
Yeah.
last 20 minutes is a different planet. It's not even a different movie. It's a different studio. In the back of my head, whenever we do a movie like this, a lot of them are just stupid nonsense bullshit. Like, this kid, Matt brought it up when we were watching this. It's another precocious kid movie. This kid is so goddamn precocious. But unlike, say, Angels in the Outfield, you felt like that was one movie by one script and it was very straightforward. This felt like there was a mafia film that was R-rated that...
It's almost like it was spliced.
Yes!
Like
Yeah, the
overlaid.
script sitting around, and you're like, what are
Yeah.
we going to do with these things?
Can you shack this up by about 30%? They're like, what does that mean?
'Cause even-
He's going to rap.
A lot of the dialogue that happens that is toward a kid is just so weird and inappropriate, and like it would make sense if it were toward a young adult.
Yes.
Like like somebody who doesn't know what he's doing. He's like whatever, a kid in that sense, but not a child.
Well, and it's so funny because, like, nothing tells you a bad writer than them saying, like, we're going to take this genre and change it. No. good writing shouldn't have 6 genres attached. And that's what this is. It's just like, because like half the time, is he just a precocious kid dealing with a bully? Like we've done those. Like there's a Richie Rich movie like that. First Kid with Sinbad, which we've done, is also like that. Like he's kind of a kid who's just, he just has to deal with these bullies. Like, no. Like, this is outrageous compared to that. So much behind the scenes is like, at one point there's a scene where the guy in charge of bootlegging albums is getting the shit kicked out of him. And the first time that happens, the kid shows up. The other time, he's just bloodied and thrown through a door and he lands in front of the kid. Which again, if there's an R-rated version, the guy's dead. Right? Like,
well, that's what the guy says. He says he's gonna wake up dead, like, which also doesn't make sense. But
yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't make sense because you're right. It doesn't make sense, but it's also delivered like that guy is going to wake up dead. If De Niro grabbed you by the scruff and said, "You're gonna wake up fucking dead," it makes sense. He delivers it as though it's like the Kroger brand ShamWow. He's like, you know what? You could wake up dead. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Other than, how is it there's a movie?
Is he Italian mafia, like the brand name?
Olive Garden
the
mafia.
Brand name, and these I guess Lebanese guys, Malik is Arab for king. Are they like the Wish.com mafia?
yes,
nailed it. But B, it's not king, we're told. It's Sultan. Because it's Sultan's gold.
The Sultan's gold.
This movie didn't have even Encyclopedia Britannica. They had the World Book. They had World Book. This is a World Book Encyclopedia movie if there's ever been one.
I mean, it's like it's almost like Aladdin came out and was like a culturally huge thing.
And they're like, what do they even eat there?
How can we just sort of
Goat
get
eyes?
on this kind of thing?
Although, you know what? Clearly, whoever runs Disney Film right now saw this and said, "You're right. What if we had a black man as the genie? Hey, Will Smith, would you be the genie in Guy Ritchie's Aladdin?" Because that's how that happened 5 years ago.
Guy Ritchie's Aladdin.
I really like that.
I never saw
Aladdin.
that.
It has the quality that now you guys have experienced Cinderella has, where it almost seems like a play.
Well, in the live action Aladdin, I think they actually wear clothes.
I will give you, because I love you, Keiko, I will give you a couple points here. First, it was a fine movie. The interactions.
The music is good. Even the new music.
I agree with you.
I'm pointing at Nick. You guys can't see it, but I'm.
She is accusing me of being
defensively
Daniel, and I will take that criticism for a second. I will say 2 things I don't like about it. First of all, the first one was fine. You didn't need to remake it to begin with. Second, adding half an hour to a tight 90-minute movie is going to be a cardinal sin for me for a kid's movie. Because the original Aladdin tells the whole story just fine, and it's 93 minutes or whatever it is. And this one's more than 2 hours.
But it's not as bad as The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid, and again, here's the thing. It's the same thing I felt when I saw that Ghostbusters with Melissa McCarthy. People are going to say, you don't like it because there's women. No. That movie is just not as good. The Little Mermaid is not nearly as good because they blow it out too far. And if you want to talk about something that never needed to be live action, the problem is live action should be live action. The fucking fish and crab, which they changed Sebastian from a lobster to a crab, which more accurate, doesn't fix anything. You're still talking to CGI nonsense, man. If it's going to be animated, let it be animated.
And luckily, there's CGI nonsense in Kazaam too, although it's not as much.
You're going to do it. I'm going to break you.
Oh, good job, Nick.
Okay, by the
He did
way, they announced today as we're speaking, or yesterday as we're speaking, a live-action Lilo and Stitch. So you can all fuck yourself.
Oh, there's also a Mufasa. We're doing Mufasa now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they meet. Apparently, he's like the adoptive brother of Scar.
Garbage. All garbage. You know what we don't need? Anything else. The most brilliant thing Disney ever did was Lion King 1.5, which is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. But it's the Lion King.
Actually, I would be
Oh,
really
with
happy.
Pumbaa and Timon?
It's the Pumbaa
Oh,
and Timon
I never
movie.
saw. I didn't see
That's
that
what it
either.
was.
I saw Lion King 1.5, but I would be really happy if we did Lion King 2. I told you guys about Lion King 2.
We will do it because, again, you're my friend
very
and you
good.
show up.
It's
But
so good.
I hate it. It's better than Return of Jafar. It's worse than King of Thieves. And we will do it. We will do it. We will do it. Because when you do these movies, they're great episodes because I have so many thoughts.
Because they're bad.
And unlike Daniel, where he made Candace leave crying, I will not. You and I.
You were so sensitive after my first like true pick trading mom. You were like, King, are you okay? Are you are you?
I've lost so many podcasting
It was bad.
friends.
It was bad. No,
I don't want to
it's
live
fine.
anymore.
No, I think the format is different enough that like we can talk about the movie, and also it didn't hold up for me.
Yeah.
So but this movie, I feel like this movie is fun. Even though it's bad, it's fun.
Well, it's funny because it's bad.
Yes.
I'm not going to disagree. I feel like it's almost. When we were watching it, I referenced Lifetime. Like, there's a lot of lifetiminess to it, where the like actors who just don't know what to say. Like, the projection is weird. Like, he has this friend with the penis haircut we've talked about before in the '90s, where it's just like he has like the nose sideburns is parted in the middle. He looks like it's a terrible haircut.
Who has about 3 minutes of screen time in the whole movie?
But does he have any actual lines? He mouths words.
He says, "Are you okay?"
Nailed it.
Yeah.
We don't even need a take two. Like, there's so much in. And Alex, there's a rap number with him and the child.
You were gonna do that.
That's
right?
actually one of the least bad raps in this movie.
Full rap number
the full rap
with both of them.
Yeah, both parts.
Well, there's a lot of talk about Hadoor, and I guess that was the origin story.
Yeah, it's his
in a rap sequence.
Yeah, Kazam's origin story about how he became a genie. Apparently, he was a human at one point.
And he, 3,000 years ago, 1000 BC, we're told, he was stuck in the desert. He was sinking into the desert, and he. Last time we behind the curtain here. Most of the time when we do this, we have people watch the movies in advance and record a couple at a time. But because it's been the summer and I haven't really started working yet, I thought, let's watch a few together. This is fun. The last time we did that, Keiko and I think Matt, we watched Bride of Chucky.
Oh, it was a blast.
It was Keiko and I were riffing the whole movie. It was delightful. It was delightful. But this feels very similar, where there's just like the Shambhala, like they're making up a foreign language, and Shaq is speaking whatever this nonsense is, and someone's going to tell me it's supposed to be a real language, some Arabic. No. What Shaq is doing is not anything. But here's the thing: we've talked about this before. You get a star actor with charisma. The second Shaq shows up, we're like, fucking A, it's Shaq.
Yeah, who cares? It's Shaq.
He steals the show. And when he's not on stage, I'm like, when is he coming back? No one in this movie has charisma except for Shaq. Except when the brat shows up and this movie becomes a music video for 10 minutes. And by the by, if MTV, I will say VH1, if only VH1 was owned by Viacom, which owns Nickelodeon, and this is a Nickelodeon movie if there's ever been one. VH1 needs to show the rap music video where, what is it, We Be Genie? Where the two of them are both like dressed up like in Arabic.
Yeah.
We Genie.
We're genies. Yeah,
we be genie.
We be Genie.
we be genies. Is that what they said?
So there I am doing lines of coke and We Be Genie.
I think they say we genie.
As Steve-O comes.
We Genie.
We Genie. And so literally, the Lonely Islands is more subtle than this, because they're like up here, they pan around. There's a giant 4-post bed with silk and purple, and Shaq has worn everything from like a parachute pant version of a Velma costume with like the purple pants and the orange shirt to like this vest that he's rocking where Malik is like playing with his nipples. And like he kisses him on the boob. Dude, this movie is for children.
I don't remember that part, but I'm glad you brought that up because I'm
glad I did too.
I think if I had watched this alone, I don't think that I would have caught on to the weirdly inappropriate
homoeroticism.
Yeah, homoerotic, like focused toward a kid. Like, I don't think I would have caught all of that in this movie.
At one point, they make a joke about shoving a key somewhere sensitive.
Right.
Okay, so just to describe how we did this, friend of the show Lauren was here. It's Matt, Keiko, Alex. We're sitting in this horseshoe setup in my basement watching this. And every time something strange happened, Keiko would look from Alex to me just to see how we're reacting. And so by the end of it, at one point I just told everyone, I'm like, if this is the movie this could be the one that ends the show. Like, this might break me. This is so absurd. Because at one point, Shaq is rapping over Debrat. And here's the thing. He's rapping, he's doing well. But early on, he's reading his rapping is as though he's on SNL and he's reading cue cards because he's not flowing.
No.
To use the phrase.
That's when he appeared.
He's like, I am Shaq. Pause, pause, pause. I'm here because I threw out my back. Pause, pause, pause. And we're looking around and we're like, is he gonna rhyme the whole time? And then my blood went cold. Like, it's as though I'm like, I went to the bathroom and just breathed into a paper bag. I'm like, if it's going to be this the whole time, I might die.
It's not the whole time, but there certainly is a lot of it.
Well, I mean,
Where's my
no,
pills?
there's like well-placed rap numbers. It's intentional.
So, I mean, at this point in 1996, Shaq considered himself, and, you know, there were
Was
a lot
he a
of...
rapper?
This was after his first two albums.
He was, like, really trying to do the athlete rapper thing, and he considered himself, like, somewhat serious. And so,
Rapping about
I mean,
lamb
like,
chops.
and he was an executive producer on this movie. He couldn't pay for a room of writers to help him put some actual good raps together. I don't get it.
Well, and it's
I mean,
so funny you say that because I get the feeling, like, I don't know how this movie was made, so I'm going to imagine a room with a guy with smoking a cigar, and they're like, we got Shaq, and he's like, what? But, like, the scene where he's in the club with Debrat, the rap is better. Mm-hmm. And later on, when he's was it Crazy K? What is
That
the
was
rap?
they were calling him.
Crazy K?
Class K.
Class K.
Class
With a K.
K.
Class
When
with a K, too?
Yes.
I think it was in the
Class with a
subtitles.
K.
You're 1K away from something awful. But what I was going to say is when he's on stage before he gets called away, that's also better. So I wonder at what point what happened, because at first his rhyming is truly atrocious. So I wonder if like that came later, like, you know what I mean? Like if they didn't have to fix the script, like there's scripts in parts here. It's strange.
Maybe he spent more time like with humanity, you know, since he was out of the box, and he could learn how to really rap.
It's something like,
That makes a certain amount of sense.
I wish the movie told us any of that, but I'm not going to argue it.
I don't think that's the case. But
No, it makes as much sense as anything. What would have been great is there's a couple scenes where they're just walking along the sidewalk where he goes, "Hey, you're getting better." Like,
yeah.
it's
Like,
so
yeah, maybe it's his
easy.
rap journey, and he started off, you know, he came out of the box.
The boombox.
The boombox. And
It's just, so instead of the movie about Max, a movie about Kazaam, as a middle school semi-punk teaches a 3,000-year-old genie how to rap.
Yeah.
Better movie.
If he was secretly like the music teacher and he's like, "Son, you have potential." what was his name? Hamilton Allenworth.
Jefferson
Allensworth Lamb.
Jefferson, the father of our freedom. Allenworth, the guy who first freed his slaves during the whatever.
Well, he founded a community. This Allenworth.
The all-black
Like
community in Kansas. That's right. And then lamb, because I like lamb.
So basically,
I like eating
he
lamb
admitted
chops.
to Max's mother, who he just walked in on, pretending to be a teacher from his school,
A tutor.
that's not really his name. He just made it up.
Yeah. So
After one point, waking up in bed with a 12-year-old wearing pajamas.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you came back to that because I was so primed for the inappropriate, like, weirdness in this movie that at one point somebody in the movie said, like, it's a scene where somebody is testing a mic and he's like 1 2 1 2 and he says bottom, and I just like busted out.
you started giggling, and you looked at again. You
And
looked
I
at me and
I
Alex,
looked
and we're
around
just like.
and nobody else was laughing. And I was like, oh, sorry.
I caught
sorry.
it, but like
I think at one point the kid
Again,
actually
friend of the
calls.
Go ahead.
At one point, I think the kid actually calls Shazam a pervert.
Well, I was going to say.
Does he? I didn't remember
When
that.
he wakes up, he finds him
when
in
he
his
wakes
bed
up
with
in the
him,
bed. Yeah, it's like, what do you do?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
pervert, yeah.
and then throws a
Thank you,
baseball.
adult man in my childhood room.
Who's like 7 feet tall.
Also, when was this in relation to the Michael Jackson? So while we were discussing this movie, we were talking about
Whoa.
A lot of Pepsi product placement.
We should talk about the product placement.
Pepsi
Oh, yeah.
product placement.
Pepsi.
at least
Many
two.
times.
Sunny D.
I'm going to say 3
which I
or
think
4
Sunny
times.
D is
I
also
think.
Pepsi, right? I think it is. I think it is. Believe it is.
So you're saying Sunny D is also Pepsi?
Taco
I think so.
Bell and Lay's potato chip.
Oh, that's right.
I think there's Taco Bell. Max's first wish is a mountain of junk food high to the sky, and they got to get a weed joke in here somehow.
Well, and you said Taco Bell. I don't think we see any tacos, but we also see.
There is a taco. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe it was a burrito.
we do. Maybe it's in the sky, but also friend of the show. Taco Bell and Pizza Hut are also now owned together, and so that's all the stacks of pies we get. But that reminds me, my good friend Miss Childs, Mr. Big Bars, which I told you I would
you
tell
said you were
about.
going to tell us what it is because it looks like a turd.
So Mr. Big is, quote, the largest chocolate bar in Canada. It's a Canadian chocolate bar produced by Cadbury, hence the name. Why it's
I bet
big.
they're good.
It's 20 centimeters or 8 inches long,
Oh.
which is enough for any of our friends of the show. There's additional varieties called Mr. Chew Big, Mr. Fudge Bar, and Mr. Big with maple. Okay.
Oh.
It was first produced in Canada in 1979. The bar is common in Canada, but also available in Hungary, Poland, and in some areas in the United States. You might be asking, Canadian advertising called it Mr. Big. So by big, they call him Mr. It gets worse.
That's good.
So here's the thing. In 1995, the product was first brought to the United States. And they launched an advertising campaign starring basketball player Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, there you go.
A miniature Mr. Big chocolate bar was manufactured for the Halloween season. The chocolate season.
It's chocolate season.
The Halloween season, advertised purely by Shaq.
I mean,
Where
Halloween.
he said, quote, it was the only thing that made me wish I was small. Go ahead.
Halloween through Easter is chocolate season. So.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, no, I'm right. I know I'm right. So.
Because just when I get into the svelte shape that I'm in, chocolate starts to appear at my house.
Yeah.
Chocolate season. SZN. It's chocolate season, guys.
I'm sorry. I'm actually crying about this.
I love
It
that.
brings out the
I love all
emotions
of
in me
that.
too.
Wow. Shaq. I mean, Shaq is a good businessman.
He's Mr. Big.
Has been involved in so many things, not just as a spokesman or somehow in 1996 getting an executive producer credit on a movie.
Well, and of course, local boy, he owns the Krispy Kremes around here. Once the asshole that it was Papa John Slattery fell from grace after making a bunch of racial slurs. The guy who owns the most Papa John's franchises now is Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, he owns a bunch of Five Guys. He owns the Krispy Kreme in Atlanta, one of which got burned down a couple years ago.
And he heroically vowed to rebuild it.
Right, and he did. It's happening. So he's, he
also, my kids and I have gotten into this treehouse building show, and he's on an episode of that where he has a hangout treehouse built for his family, and he is just as charismatic and charming and like lovable.
He's cool
on that.
And I was thinking about this today, literally, because as we are recording, the Olympics is in high gear.
No. Yes.
Two people from our childhood that were not edgy. I'm not going to say Shaq was edgy per se, but edgy, that have now made good are Shaq and Olympics Snoop Dogg. Just
and
people.
My God, he's all over the coverage. Snoop Dogg. My God.
Charming black men who, if you bought a Snoop Dogg album when you were in middle school with us, that was it was a statement you were making. Yeah. And now he's just him and Martha Stewart are just fucking hanging out. And then again, it's Shaq. And again, he was never I don't know, Rodman. But at the same time, he was this guy who was bigger than life, and he had a rap out. No, and now he's just a cuddly teddy. Him and the general just hanging out, just selling insurance. And now he's just advertising for everything. And he's just a charming motherfucker. I love the guy.
I'll say that in the early 90s, when Shaq was... And actually, there's a reference to this in this movie. He's an LSU grad. I think Asia Moon, is that her name?
So that's like what he lied to the girl.
So when he was at LSU playing basketball, he was like the... huge thing. We're talking 1990, 1991.
7'1".
He was huge. He was just huge. A sensation. So for 35 years almost, he has been a kind of larger than life guy. And God damn, he looks good in this movie. 1996 Shaq. This is the Shaq that was leading fast breaks and running and jumping and doing everything. This is not 325-pound Shaq. This is. He looks good.
Well, and he's carrying it well. He's charming. He's leaning down and looking at the kid.
He's wearing Orange Crush colored butterfly shirts. I mean, his
pants fell down at one point, though. That was kind of weird.
His pants fell down. I'm not sure why they had that.
Maybe I think this was
for the moms in the audience.
I think this was the end of because this was when sagging was cool. Sagging, did you guys?
I don't know. I sagged.
I grew up in.
Sagged.
You sagged. So I grew up in Alabama. So I'm not sure if I had maybe a different experience around sagging. Sagging. You gotta say sagging.
Sagging if you're cool.
But I do remember that there was sagging, and then there were the people that hated it. Right? We're just oh, so you sagging is just terrible. Whatever. So I wonder
if people who told you to leave room for Jesus.
So I wonder if this was at the end of that where his pants falling down was
If I may offer a different suggestion.
Let's hear it.
1992, Bill Clinton runs for president. And on MTV, MTV News, someone asked him if he wore boxers or briefs. And you know what? In 1996, when he ran for re-election, we know that Shaq wore boxers. I think there's also some of that too. The national debate was a conversation about boxers or briefs, and Shaq was wearing boxers.
Oh yeah, I think.
I mean, because again, nowadays
wasn't that a big thing with everybody though? Everybody, this boxers or briefs thing.
That's why they asked it, and Clinton, gave this kind of you'll have to find out. But
what was it?
It was a person who asked that question a pretty woman, because I can imagine him I'll tell you back to the presidential suite and you'll find out, honey. Exclusive interview.
Before Matt makes a joke any worse, it was a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, because the whole idea was that it was MTV, so the kids were asking the candidates, and Clinton was supposed to appeal to young people. That's why he appeared on Arsenio Hall. As opposed to, say, George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush, who was old and doddering compared to
we never found out about Clinton and what he...
Clinton
I just wanna
alluded to
know.
the fact that he wore boxers,
Oh, okay.
essentially, because he was young and cool and then could play the saxophone and bet anyone in the audience.
Can play the saxophone.
And play the saxophone. But I do feel like that's part of it. Meanwhile, this episode is sponsored by Mack Weldon and or MeUndies. This episode is sponsored by MeUndies with the men's new Modal cotton boxer briefs. So you my favorite are the ads where they're just like nuts hanging out in the front, and they're like, "Here's the." We're not going to be sponsored by anyone.
No, that's a joke.
Yeah.
MeUndies, if you're
Adore
out there.
me.
MeUndies, if you're out there somewhere, give our esteemed host a call.
I mean, I could sign up for it. You want 7 cents on the dollar? MeUndies sponsorship. No, we're an independent podcast because I said no to people, and I apologize for that.
Okay, so
What do you even talk about?
well, it's okay. Basically, his
Oh, I have something.
all right.
Go.
Okay, so it's
Go
not
to
about the
racer.
movie. So something happened to me today that is
Story time.
Format.
It's a Keiko story, which I don't know if I told you guys. I said this before. A Keiko story is a story that seemingly has no end, but actually there is something relevant in it.
No, you're on the right podcast.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Okay.
A Star Wars story, a Spike Lee joint.
No, that's
we
just
got
what
a Keiko story.
what my friends called a Keiko story, and usually they start with one time at blah blah blah, like the band
time at
camp,
band camp.
yeah, like
Yep.
that.
And
So,
then you had to cut their breaks, and they're not on the podcast anymore.
huh?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this is what happened today. This is genie adjacent.
Oh,
So
thank
today
God.
we saw a magician,
Ooh.
and his name was Adam Stone, and he's one of those like mentalist magician kind of people. So
Sure.
so the show opened with this really interesting
And he has your social security number.
well, actually, no, he did do somebody's phone passcode. Like, and he figured it out.
Really?
So the what he opened with was he had everybody have a small item that they can hold in one hand, and he had everybody in the audience hold this item in one or the other hand. And he gave a little spiel, and then he said, okay, well, I just said left to you guys like 3 times. So everybody that has it in your left hand, sit down, because I just like suggested to you to put it in your left hand. You may not have caught it or whatever. And then whatever, he went through a thing, and then he was eliminating people, and he was giving their tells, and he was saying, this is why I'm eliminating this group, and this is why I'm... Anyway, it was really interesting, kind of cool. But then he, later in the show, asked if anybody hated math. And this was for my husband's work, which I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a tech industry. And, you know, it was an event for the work, like a family kind of thing. I don't know what it was. But
Take your child to work for you day.
something like that.
Yeah.
It was like a festival. I don't know. But so he was like, does anybody hate math? And I was like, because I hate math. And nobody else really raised their hand, which I thought was interesting. But this is like a tech industry, so maybe they all just do math all the time and they all love math. Or maybe they were afraid to say that they hated math because it's like in their industry and they didn't want to like openly say that they hate their job. So I don't know. But anyway, next thing I know, I'm up on the stage.
There's a rap battle?
No. But then I kind of realized in that moment, I was like, oh crap, he's going to make me do math. So I got up there and he was like, well, first of all, just like to give me a little background, tell me why you hate math. And I was like, oh, I grew up in Alabama. And he was like, thank you. And I was like, okay, cool.
Funny.
So then he was like, all right. So, and the reason I want to tell you guys this story is because I want to see, because you guys are really smart. And I want to see, you're welcome. You are. You're super smart. And you too.
Oh, thanks.
And you too. And
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
So I want to see if you guys can tell me what the trick is for
Okay.
this. Like how
I've been
this
thinking,
happened.
let's see.
Yeah, okay. So here's what he did. So he's like, all right. So he said he's dyslexic and he has this trick to remember numbers. And it's where he kind of closes his eyes and sort of takes a mental image, takes a kind of a picture. And he's like, I'm going to show you these, whatever, 5 or 6 cards with a 6-digit number on them. And I'm going to show them to you super fast. And you just take a little click, take a little picture with your eyes, blink in every one. And then we're going to do an activity. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like blacking out. And he's like, you look really nervous. And I was like, I am sorry for you for what is about to happen, because I don't think your trick is going to work. So he did the thing, he showed me these cards with these 6-digit numbers, and he's like, blink, 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 and it's super fast. And then he handed those cards out to the audience, to individuals in the audience. And then he's like, all right. He goes over to this like large notepad, and he's like, tell me a 1-digit number. And I'm like blacked out. So I'm like, okay.
Drinking all day.
I tell him a number. No, I haven't been drinking at all, but I'm like in front of a crowd and I'm also doing math. So I'm essentially having a heart attack. Actually, I should look and see if my Fitbit caught zone minutes, because it was intense. So then he's like, all right, give me a 1-digit number. So I did, whatever. I don't remember what I said. He's like, give me a 2-digit number. I don't remember what I said. He's like, give me a 3-digit number. And he's having me blink every time. Like I'm recalling the numbers that he showed me. And so I give him a 3-digit number, and he said, and I think I said like 103. And I was really trying to like visualize a number when I closed my eyes, to like see a number. And so I was just saying the first thing that came to mind. So I said 103. And he's like, you're close. He's like, I want you to forget the audience, like forget, that we're here. Try again. And I close my eyes and I'm like, I still see 103, but you're telling me it should be different. So I'm going to say, and he said, do it one at a time. So I said 2. And he's like, all right, he writes the 2 down. And then I'm like, okay, blinking, 0. I want it to be a 0. It was a 0 before. I want it to be a 0. He's like, okay, he did it. And then I was like, okay. And then my original one was 3, but I changed it, I think, to 4. So then he writes that down. And then he writes down the numbers, the 6-digit numbers below. He draws a line and he writes down all the 6-digit numbers that he had come up with. And he writes them all down on the board, and he asks the audience, did I get them all? Did I get them all right? Did I mess any up? Whatever. Nobody said anything. So then he starts adding, and he adds those numbers together, and they equaled the number that I gave him. And so my question is, how did he do that? And I actually have a picture of the board with the numbers, because my thought was, well, maybe he just flubbed the math, and like, because when you're in that moment, and he was doing it super fast, maybe you don't notice that. Like, there's not an ice maker in that fridge, is there?
No.
I don't know what just happened. Something moved in the fridge.
How did he do it? Kazam.
Oh, you're trying to tie it back to the movie. I get it.
No, it's not gonna happen.
No, so I don't get how he did it. And then I thought, well, maybe one of those 6-digit numbers is fake, and the individuals wouldn't know how many were handed out, and maybe there's one that he can just adjust the number slightly.
I have a question. Do you
What?
remember what the numbers added up to?
I have a picture of it.
Was it always 30?
No, it was like 1,000,000 and something.
Wait, added up to? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I what I would guess is something has to do with those. The numbers always add up the same amount.
The top number is the number that I gave him, 1230204. And then the other numbers are supposedly the numbers on the cards that he had me look at and that he handed out to the crowd. The weird one to me is the last one, which starts with a 0. And so that's what I'm thinking. Maybe that one is fake.
I think all those numbers add up to the same amount, and that's how it's always going to end up the same.
But how did I give him that number?
I'm telling you, it might not matter the number you gave him because they always end up the same, but it sounds more like a mentalist. When we were kids, there was a guy named Jonathan Edwards, not the vice president who screwed everything up, but he was a psychic who would read people's mind by what they do called cold calling, where using your mind, it's really easy to manipulate doing certain things by asking questions.
Yeah. No, I 100% believe that is like what is going on.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think he's just encouraging you to give numbers because it's the same way. Okay, so a million years ago, I used to work at a movie theater where Shaq showed up.
Did you do magic on people in the movie theater?
No, but there was a 9-digit passcode right on one of the doors. And I was told the code, which now doesn't matter because the door doesn't exist anymore. But it was 258552. And he was like, look, here's the thing. People always dot down the middle and then do the corners. So try down the middle and then do the corners because people always naturally look for the same number sequences. That's why when they tell you, and you're a child, hello children, to do a PIN number for the first time, think of something from your past to do it, because otherwise you're just going to do something that's very predictable. People look for number in patterns. I bet you there's some number pattern that's there that I just don't know. Because that's what it seems like. Shaq raps with Debrat in this movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Keiko.
I don't know. It just blew my mind. Like, I'm like, what? How did he do it?
That means he's a good mentalist. I'm not going to say anything bad about the person who did it because it seems like you left thinking about it, so you wanted to record it on.
No, I put it up on the wall.
Oh, so now there's a Stranger Things wall in your house where there's just numbers and letters.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Anyway, I don't know. It was very cool though.
I'm impressed.
I feel like we should spend a little bit of time talking about
the movie where
Shazam.
Shazam. Yeah.
Not Kazam. Shazam.
No, yeah, Shazam.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think we should talk about that.
The guy from what was that NBC show?
Levi.
Zachary Levi. Yeah.
The guy that's in Harold and the Purple Crayon.
That movie that's doing so
which
well.
Which apparently did poorly. I
less than $10 million.
We really liked it.
You're allowed to like bad movies. This is Myopia Movies. It's a podcast we do sometimes.
You're allowed to like bad movies. Is that our slogan? Do we have a slogan? I guess it's putting your past on trial.
Something like that. It's been years.
I think you're allowed to like bad movies is better.
You're allowed to like bad movies. Good. That's good.
That's what my therapist told me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What do you want to tell about this mullet kid who's like being beat up by
some 20-year-olds?
One kid who looks like young Eminem.
Yeah. And the other one that has a very cute crochet shirt.
He does. It's like the Nirvana, like stretched out crochet sweater thing.
It's like oversized, which is so in now, which is crazy.
Well, and like, there's like, they either have the greased back hair or like the backwards hats, and this one kid has like a backwards like cabbie hat. Like, you're just like, it's the 90s.
Yeah, and the one kid has the like shaved eyebrows.
The etches into his eyebrows, which is, it's sharp. That's a sharp look. I don't even know where to go. I
don't know. I don't have notes on this.
Yeah, they start out by bullying him and trying to get the key to the supply closet, and by the end of it, they're breaking into a mafia front club to steal master tapes.
Those are some ambitious bullies. I mean, they really went for it.
And that leads to Max's dad getting the crap kicked out of them by Malik's thugs.
I thought they made bootleg movies.
They were doing bootleg music.
They said CDs at one
because
point.
It's like the
black
great
market CD.
Yeah, it's like the great chain of beating. The Malik and his guys beat on his dad, and his dad is beating on this musician who wants out because he wants to get involved in criminal behavior. Again, a kids movie where people get beaten up by mobsters
repeatedly all the time. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I also have to say this is sort of weird because I remembered this movie. Like, I showed this movie to my kids like last year.
Really?
Yeah, because
Wow.
I liked the movie, But I think okay, well, I don't know if you guys know that I didn't really have like a dad. Like
You've mentioned it.
So I was like, when I was watching it with my kids, I was like, oh, I think I liked it because the kid got like a magic, parent, like got to wish and have a parent. So that was kind of an interesting.
Who this is something I noticed. Max wishes that his dad, who's basically in hock to the mob and is apparently wanted by the police too, can have a second chance. So later in the movie, Shaq proceeds to go full Shaq Fu. Yes, there's actually a video game called Shaq Fu, and proceeds to beat.
Oh, that's a real thing.
Either beat a bunch of the gangsters to death or knock them unconscious and leave them in a burning building. And then finally fold up Malik, the gang boss, into a human screaming basketball and slam dunk him down an air shaft.
Absolute, hands down, best part of the movie.
In a burning building. Yeah, Shaq
he
is
shoves
just
him down the trash chute.
He slams
dunks
dunks.
him.
He does it dunk.
Yeah, little boy got his wish because between the mafia being all pretty much dead and his dad doing some time in jail, his dad's not be part of the life anymore.
Did Space Jam come out before this?
95, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Might have been right around the same time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No,
is like
because it's
very
what happens
close.
to Wayne
Yeah.
Wayne Knight, right? When they turn him into a basketball, the bad guys turn him into a basketball and slam dunk him.
Well, I was just kind of thinking of a basketball star kind of being in a movie.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that
say-
Shaq brutally beats the gangsters to death after Malik throws Max down an elevator shaft and apparently kills him.
Yeah, when
he
that
dies,
started
yeah.
happening, I was like, Shaq Fu, hell yeah. I mean, we needed more of that stuff. Like Shaq high kicking, low level gangsters.
I don't think so.
awesome.
I think my favorite thing, I feel like my favorite sort of moment in the movie was Shaq being goofy in his room and just riffing and just
Kicking the kid out of bed is good, but the Weeby Genie music video or whatever is out of this world. It's
out of this world good? Is that what you're saying?
well, I will say. So we talked about this while we were watching it. The problem with this movie is in some ways it's almost too mellow. Like the plot is that's absurd. There's mafia, as Matt said. There's about to be sodomizing.
They don't say that, but they talk about we're going to unlock something else with this key or something gross.
It's like
Only
this
one
kid.
other hole that this kid will fit into.
I can't believe I missed that. I was so in
because
tune
I
to all
thought they were
that.
going to shove it
and-
down his throat, but Matt immediately went for the ass, which is what Matt is here for. But
Sorry, Nick, I'll leave that to you.
my point being, the movie is
Bottom,
all over the
bottom.
place. I know. I wish it was more over the top all the time. The idea that he only turns someone into a ball at the end, there needs to be
Bottom,
more. Like the Shaq,
Yeah.
fine. The bottom stuff is fine, but. Do more of it. Like the silliness needs to be there. Because so much of it is like a Lifetime movie where the kid wants to find his dad, but his dad apparently is in the mafia.
Yeah, it is a weirdly spliced, very serious movie alternating a silly, goofy kids movie. Like that's the problem.
With an obnoxious, bratty kid.
Right.
Who you're not like rooting for that kid. I mean, he's sort of.
Well, he's being bullied.
He's got a shitty life.
He's-
I mean,
his-
his life sucks.
I mean, but- okay, but, like, his mom is getting married.
A good guy. Yeah.
Why does that suck?
Trav's cool.
Okay. But you guys got the problem right. Where's he a cool dude? Like, what would be good is if that kid who has the bowl cut that doesn't get a line, or
He
says,
has one line.
"You all right, dude?"
Yeah.
If he was being bullied worse, and so he stood up
Trying
to
to-
protect his friend. Like, if there was a redeeming moment for this kid, it would be better. But instead, everyone else redeems themselves to the kid. Like, Travis only gets his respect because he saves the kid's life. That's bullshit. Like, the kid never apologizes for being a jackass either. Right? Like, you'd think he goes, "I was wrong. Thank you." Like, or maybe, what is his name? Nick? Of course. I just assume every asshole character is named Nick. The dad. What's the dad's name?
Nick.
No, it was Nick.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Nick Mateo.
If say
What an asshole.
if Travis stopped Nick from hitting the mom or something, right? Because like the mom was getting chewed out by Nick at one point. If Travis stood up for her, it would be better. Like anything, no one is a good character in this.
Yeah, but I feel like those are going more toward the serious aspect, and I feel like what makes this movie good is its goofiness and its silliness.
Right.
I want
It
more.
would have been
of that.
very easy to make this a good, fun,
Didn't
goofy
make for TV,
movie.
whatever.
You don't have to have all that stuff about like a kid being thrown
Down
to
an
his
elevator.
Killed, murdered
death.
in an
I
elevator
mean, you don't
chute.
have to have that. He could have just been getting bullied, and Shaq steps in and is his
I wonder if maybe they
like
did
like a buddy.
film a lot of this stuff, like because we talked about this. We were like that friend kid.
Right.
Where he's like making faces at him
there's
in the
probably,
door
like,
in the
there was
beginning.
I'm
And-
sure there's like 35 minutes of
So
film that
that-
would just like on the cutting room floor.
And then the
of
bully
that
kids?
kid,
Yeah.
and this kid doesn't.
The bully leaves the movie for
because
a good
they
hour.
just
Yeah.
disappear.
He's barely in it. Okay, so previous episode, Richie Rich. Have you seen Richie Rich?
I
The
watched it in
Macaulay
theaters.
Culkin.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, but-
absolutely. I
So,
saw that in theaters.
The background of this is like John Larroquette kills the parents because he's the like second in line for the corporation and wants to take over Richie Rich's money. That's what it is. The dad is Edward Herman. Richie Rich himself is Macaulay Culkin. But the whole thing is that Macaulay Culkin, Richie Rich, wants friends. That movie, describing it, sounds very complicated, but baseline, it's very simple, and more importantly, it's silly and over the top. Because nothing matters in that movie, because he's richer than God. His house is the Biltmore Estate in Nashville. He has a McDonald's inside the house just for him, right? But it turns out that the butler pays people to be friends with him. Because in the end, it's a kid's movie, so it needs to be about relationships that these kids understand. The mafia showing up is not something the kids
No.
understand. We need more time with the friends, with Travis. Good old Trav. This movie
Trav.
is all over the place. I don't know what to tell you. And it's so funny, too, because the kid is clearly into rap because DeBrat shows up. And his dad is apparently... We don't understand what's going on with the dad and the mafia.
I
He
think
does
the club is a
bad
mafia
business.
front.
Yes, but why do they have the Bratz albums? Are they also recording
Money
people?
laundering.
But are they producing the albums? I don't know. It's very strange because they clearly...
They're just bad guys. They're like
and they want to counterfeit
They're
stuff.
per-
That's basically it,
Yeah.
right?
You wouldn't steal a movie. You wouldn't steal a
You would
car.
steal a car, yeah, sure.
I think the club is the front for a counterfeiting
The
ring.
front for
a
DeBrat.
counterfeiting.
The brat
of,
tat tat tat.
counterfeiting of what?
Albums.
Explain this to me, Matt.
Albums,
Explain.
because there's a master
Media.
tape of a concert, and they're trying to make a bunch of albums of it.
We will take down the Grateful Dead by
Wait.
mastering these albums.
So they have real albums, like DeBrat, but she's not DeBrat in,
I think
in
we're
this.
really thinking
In the
too hard
movie,
about
who
this.
is she? It's like something weird, like
It is. They give her a name, even though
It's like
she's dressed like
Shinvincible
DeBrat
or
for the music
something.
video for DeBrat.
So this person has real albums, but they did a concert in this club and they record it and they're gonna sell it and that's their.
As a bootleg.
But how is it a bootleg if it's never? I don't.
No, because artists back then, you had to give permission to
So
sell
they're
their
selling it without studio permission.
That's
or the art, no, probably the
that's what
studio.
it's supposed to be. Because okay, so funny enough, this is something that's changing at the time because Grateful Dead at first really hated the fact that people recorded them, and then they glommed onto the idea. And by 1995, the year before this came out, Phish was one of the biggest bands in the country. And the whole idea was that not only did they play a different set each time, but they had a section for people recording their music. And websites like Nugs.net, which I know Sounds like it. But you could buy albums that were their concerts, and people would, like Mystery Science Theater, exchange the tapes. That was something that was changing in the industry at the time. And bands like Dave Matthews Band,
They absolutely encourage that. Fugazi is
Fugazi,
one.
yes.
They have an entire online archive of live shows that are just recorded by people. So
if you like a band like that, I'm sorry, you might never find the concert you're looking for because there's hundreds of them online. But that's where the industry was changing, because remember, the whole plot of this the mafia part, doesn't exist anymore because by 1999, 2000, people owned CD burners. And so like the idea that back then they were copying albums was like, the CD burner technology cost thousands of dollars. Although I will say, I'm sure all of you remember this, by the time I was in middle school, I had a tape deck attached to my sound system, like a little boombox.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you could like listen around here. The top 40 station when we were kids was Star 94.
absolutely.
Represent.
And when it started to play the song you like, you would just hit record and you would record the tape off.
You would wait for your song.
And my name is Nick, so I would have Nick mixes. But I still have all of them going back to 9th grade, because thanks to Spotify you can do that. But I used to have the tapes, and you would learn the first chord of that guitar or that bass or that opening drum riff, so you knew exactly when to record Eagle Eye Cherry. The first song
tonight.
And fight the break of dawn.
Yeah, Matt.
On other things, I've said this, but the first song I ever downloaded on Napster was Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry, which is a banger. I've re-listened to it lately. It's a great song.
It really
it's
is.
a good one. I feel like I downloaded like 3 Goo Goo Dolls songs at like 4.1 kilobytes per second.
Take half
and it
an
was just
hour per
like
song.
sitting there like, come on, man. Oh, Napster.
And meanwhile, no one can call your house.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
It was like Christmas present at one point for us to get a second phone line so I could be online all the time.
Yeah.
AOL chat rooms. That's right. Zennials who are listening. Spotify, where you could listen to something in like high fidelity in real time. No. To download an entire album might take a week. Like truly. I had a girlfriend in high school, and she knew I was into music, which means nothing in real times. But for I think a Christmas gift, VH1, because the millennium was coming, had made the 100 greatest rock songs of all time, and she made me like downloaded all those MP3s because she had DSL, my friends.
Oh yeah, you were working at much more than 5 kilobytes per second.
Wait, what does DSL mean? Because
DSL. It literally means direct subscriber line. It means direct subscriber line, but it was about 10 times faster than regular internet, is what that meant. It meant she had faster internet than I.
Yeah. So she had DSL.
She had a DSL.
Yeah.
did you guys ever have crossed wires, like phone wires?
No.
Oh, that must be an Alabama thing.
No, you mean where you would actually...
Like when you pick up the phone and you hear somebody else having a conversation.
Yes, because
sure,
it's the
okay.
same
You
phone.
had that.
Yeah, if my parents are on the phone upstairs, I pick up the phone downstairs.
No,
No,
not,
she meant other
not within your house.
houses.
Other
Oh,
houses.
you mean like a line
Yeah.
that was on like
Literally
the
a
street?
cross
Yeah.
line.
No,
I used to have that, and I used to get some really juicy
I
conversations.
understand that is
Not a party line. You mean like literally...
No, like you would pick up the phone to make a call, and you would hear people talking already, and
Yeah.
you'd be like, "Oh, what did Dorothy do now?" Like,
What
And
did
you're
you
like,
do?
my sweet summer child.
but the thing was, I wasn't sure if I had to be quiet or not, so I would be quiet. Like,
And you just keep gasping.
I would-
You'd be clutching your pearls the whole time.
yeah, Dorothy got up to some stuff.
I mean, I can imagine clicking those shoes together, leaving on. We don't even need movies anymore. We can just talk.
I'm trying.
I mean, Shaq.
So I've been thinking the entire time, there's the music, the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. And like, he opened up a can of Shaq Fu. Aaron Carter came out of the blue.
That's how he beat Shaq.
That's right.
Maybe I should find a playthrough of like Shaq Fu and post it in the Myopia Facebook group.
The album Shaq Fu came out in like 1993, and then we just like the millennium, we've been living in the world of Shaq Fu since then.
Yeah, in case those of you who didn't, there's a Sega Genesis game called Shaq Fu, which is basically Shaq doing Mortal Kombat.
And is it Mortal Kombat? It's more like Contra. It's a side-scrolling fighting game.
I thought it's a rip-off. It's a fight. I have to go check it. I thought it was a fighting game.
I don't remember. I thought it was a side-scroller.
But yeah, Shaq versus like an evil mummy or something.
Oh man, it is a fighting game.
Yeah, where you just play Shaq and fight various monsters.
You can get it on Xbox One, apparently. A Legend Reborn. Shaq Fu, the Legend Reborn, now on Switch.
Oh, there you go.
Nick, I dare you to do it.
Well,
I dare you to play it.
I'll play it. I don't know. No, it's a new game, but the original one came out in 1984, the year after his album. Shaq Fu was met with responses from critics upon release, though since it has been considered one of the worst video games ever made.
What?
My goodness,
What?
Shaq has had some bad luck.
But
I'll tell you what, though, it lets you
not-
know how charming he must be because he keeps getting second chances.
Well, just
what would
look,
make a video game that bad?
Dude, I don't know, man.
The concept is so absurd. It's like the movie. It wasn't the movie The Golden Child, or Eddie Murphy has to save the Buddha from a demon or something.
I actually really like that movie.
Swap out that plot with Shaq doing martial arts, and you have Shaq Fu.
Eddie Murphy. I don't think Eddie Murphy does he do martial arts in the movie?
No, but I'm saying it's
I
in
don't remember
Shaq
it.
Fu.
That's
He's
another
fighting.
one.
That's why he's fighting people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
just look up like a supercut of Charles Barkley making fun of Shaq for this movie. It's like you can find like a 25-minute supercut of Charles Barkley clowning on Shaq for this ridiculous film, and then that's fun.
You remind me though, is he the best basketball player turned actor? Shaq?
No, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He actually did kung fu. Come on, he did actual kung fu.
What was that?
He did airplane.
What about that?
What dragging Bill Walton up and down the court?
What about the previous episode, Double Down, or whatever it was, where it's got Dennis Rodman
And playing against Jean-Claude Van Damme.
fighting terrorists or something?
You're a crazy Belgian, and you are a black man. Yeah, that's pretty much Double Down. No, that's not a great movie. Well, the Rodman brings it. He's better than. I mean, I think the worst is Larry Bird in Space Jam.
Oh, he's so wooden. He is.
But aren't
wooden.
they in Space Jam? Aren't they playing themselves?
They are.
Yeah, he's not good.
Muggsy
He's trying to
Bogues,
play
Sean
golf
Bradley.
against Bill Murray. Muggsy Bogues is not. Patrick Ewing is in it too. He's one of the
He
guys.
is, yeah.
Also not good, but they don't have anything to do. I do realize when we were watching this, I was like, Charles Barkley would be much worse than Shaq in this. I like Charles Barkley, but Charles Barkley.
How about Sinbad? How would he be in this?
Oh no, he's in that movie Shazam, right? So there's a show that's long since over, which is a shame because I liked it very much. Same guys associated with Gravity Falls, but it's called Inside Out. And at one point, the dimensions are being split apart, everything's falling apart, and the only way we know what's reality is whether or not it's Kazam versus Shazam. And a guy has a tattoo on his back that is Shazam.
That's actually in the show.
It's in the show. It's a very funny show. I will recommend Inside Job, which is very funny.
Oh.
We watched
we watched the
episode
first
ago. It's
episode
very
of
funny.
that. Yeah, some very good voice actors in that. Yeah.
But anyway, at the end, it turns out that Shaq gives a second chance to the kid. The kid is Max, right?
Yeah.
Nice God.
In this movie, yes.
It's Francis Capra, not Frank Capra, not the
I thought it was like
director of A
Frankie
Wonderful
Capra's
Life.
grandson.
No relation,
Like
apparently.
a legacy
I
kid.
guess he did go on to do other things,
He
though.
did. He did.
I
go
guess
to
a
the-
He also has,
right?
I think he has face tattoos now.
Oh my god.
Well, that's
Another child star gone wrong.
I don't know if he's gone wrong. I just know he has face tattoos.
Yes, he does have face tattoos.
Like tears.
Oh, he killed. Well, did he kill anyone in this?
I don't know. Is that what
By the
that
way,
means?
do you know who directed this movie? I
He has
didn't
two
even mention
tears.
this. A guy named Paul Michael Glaser. Ask your parents, because he played Starsky in the original Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He also directed one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'll throw that out there. Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Running Man. He directed
we
Running
were talking
Man.
about that last time.
From Running Man
That is a
to
ridiculous movie.
from Running Man to
It's fun
I
as
watched
shit.
it. I watched it a couple months ago. That movie is insane.
so from Running Man to Kazam, that is quite a drop.
Well, I think after a while he just became a gun for hire. I assume he got paid well to make. Because again, I love that movie, Running Man. It's not exactly Shakespeare. Like, it's stupid and it's fun, but that doesn't make it a great
It's got
film.
Jesse Ventura in it, which is awesome.
Oh,
Governor.
Running Man was enjoyable because it was good. Kazam is enjoyable because it's bad.
Correct.
Yeah. So the guy you mentioned is Francis Capra. Has in fact been in stuff. He's excellent in SLC Punk and Bronx Tale. He's also in Crank. But by the time he's Crank, in 2006, Cranked, he's a character called Warehouse Hood Leader. So he doesn't even get a character's name.
Well,
Still hanging out in
Bronx
warehouses.
Tale. He had to be like 6 years old in a Bronx Tale.
Yeah, he
You know,
plays
it's like-
the main character at age 9. So there you go.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know, like, he's a kid actor. I assume he still shows up, and he shows up in stuff still, but more I assume he has a job like a person, because sometimes these kid actors work out, and unfortunately with that mullet, he just didn't get it.
I don't think it's really a mullet.
No, it's not. It's a disaster. I mean, but at the end when he's, like, trying to talk to his dad, and he's like, you're just like, this is a different movie, man. We have a genie who's trying to get his freedom. Like, and also,
Which
you
he
know what's
apparently does somehow.
but that's the problem, Matt. You nailed it right there. The kid should give the djinn his freedom.
Yes.
That's why Aladdin got right. Like, the whole thing about Aladdin was he was a street he's very like David Copperfield. Like, he steals because he needs to. But at the end, he could have anything he wants, and he chooses to think of other people first. The kid never thinks about anyone else.
No.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's unpack this, because the reason he gets his freedom is because he makes a wish for the kid.
Stop playing the pronoun name. Shaq has a character arc. The kid does
The
not.
kid does not.
The main character is not the protagonist
Well,
of the film.
I think the kid makes a wish for the tape to save his dad from the mafia goons. And later wishes for his dad to have a second chance, which basically means he goes to jail.
I mean,
As opposed to being murdered, I suppose.
well, and
Like
then-
him.
and Shaq kills the entire mafia. But like, I don't know, man. A line or two in the script would have made this feel like a story. I mean, and it's anything, because like, does the kid's relationship change? Like, he never calls Travis dad. There's not a girl that he could be his girlfriend. We never even see friend again. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have a character arc.
He makes faces through the classroom door at the very beginning, and then he asks him if he's okay at the top of the stairs.
Not a very good friend.
Well, then friend dies in that fire, and they play "Don't You Forget About Me" as he walks out of the credits. Like, I don't know, man. Like, show me something that the character has evolved in any way. Shaq changes because he becomes free.
Right.
He essentially sacrifices himself to help the kid.
Yeah.
And kills and ends the mafia, which is great. It's good.
Good
you know?
job, Shaq.
I'm going to turn you into a living basketball.
Yeah.
He held up his campaign promise. So Shaq for governor. But like, otherwise, like, the mom So the mom sleeps through half the movie. She wakes up like, where were you? I'm like,
Got a little sandwich next to her and everything.
You've been gone for 3 days, son. Like,
You've been hanging out with your deadbeat dad at a club.
in a club.
have you been hanging out with a rapper named Shaquille O'Neal?
It's Class K.
Class.
Oh, that's right.
I do like some of Shaq's. Do you think I could pull off a vest, Keiko? With as many sequins as Shaq?
No.
Only one way to find out.
I do have a regular vest. I got a seersucker vest.
You are quite tall, so maybe. I don't know.
Thank you. You're so kind.
That's my endorsement. Maybe. I don't know.
Also, there's this thing that happens when Shaq gets called where he like feels like his hearing aid is rupturing, or all of a sudden his earpods
Yeah.
are too
Right.
loud.
It starts squealing like his hearing aid is turned up too high.
This is-
it's going to go wee.
He also does it right before Max, like, whatever. This is part of the mythology of this world where Max calls to him when he's in trouble, and I guess he's being waterboarded by the mafia, and he calls to Shaq. Well, Shaq is on a date with Asia,
Yeah.
and he appears in his glass of water.
Dude. We're talking about something that
doesn't make
no
there's just no
I mean,
trying to figure out
yeah,
what
that's
that
kind of
means.
the point
It's just-
where
it's
you're
just-
like, okay, this movie can just do whatever it wants, and you're just
No, and like sometime and early on he asked for a Jaguar XK, I think.
Yeah,
XKE.
XKE.
Yeah, it's not clear if he ever gets
And
it.
you were
Black Jaguar.
convinced
No, he
that it
never
was
gets
going to
it.
be
Shaq can't do it.
a cat.
I thought it was going to be misunderstanding,
Which-
like a Jaguar.
100% that would make a lot of sense.
It'd be funny.
Yes.
It would make the movie a comedy.
Actually, hey,
Instead
don't
he
wanna-
has magical dysfunction.
no spoiler about Harold and the Purple Crayon, but they do that in Harold and the Purple Crayon.
That reminds us of our sponsor, Blue Chew. Are you having magical dysfunction?
Go watch Harold and the Purple Crayon. Just go watch it.
See if we can save this movie from
By
failing.
the
You know,
time
a
this comes
GameStop.
out, consider renting Harold and the Purple Crayon for free on Tubi or whatever.
No, it's
Yeah,
good.
let's save Harold the Purple Crayon, just like those people saved GameStop.
Yeah, the meme stock buyers.
And I'm not going to say Keiko's wrong about the movie. She has a good taste in films. I've enjoyed them. But apparently America disagrees because no one's apparently made less than $10 million this first weekend. So again, consider if you want to see her recommendation, consider say Target's 10-cent bin or streaming for free on like a taxi cab. I don't know.
Crackle TV.
It's a Crackle production.
It's on a DVD on a shelf in Nick Mateo's office.
Dude.
There
When
you
he's
go.
beating up the poor hacker who owns at one point he gets thrown through a CD rack and the blank media goes there. I'm like, no, blank media. I was literally thinking the other day, I'm like, can you burn 4K Blu-rays? That was 2 hours of my life. I'm like, should I buy a 4K burner? I'm like, no, I can just stream this stuff. Oh God, help me. I'm so poor. Can you get me movies? Hello, anyone listening can get me movies.
Got any more of them movies?
We're so close to talking as long as this movie has gone.
Oh, God.
Noah's gonna be here sweating and just like editing this. Like,
I'm sure this is going to be really fun for him.
No, it's not. Oh God, help me! Any final thoughts? You want to do this, Alex? What do you got?
I mean, I think they could have made this a more sort of enjoyable, just Shaq being goofy and befriending a weird little kid movie. I don't know. I mean, the rap. God, I mean, I was just saying while we were watching this. The rhyming and the raps were so lazily written. Come on. I mean, you could have like just 3 non-rappers in a room writing rhymes that were better than what we saw on screen from Shaq. And Shaq, at this point, he's not only the executive producer, but he like thinks he has a serious rap career, and he's putting out those lines. I mean, if he's rapping those lines on screen, this is horrible. Come on, put 10 minutes into it, guys. Come on.
I'll go next just because I want someone else, and I want to build off Alex. But like, goddamn, get one SNL writer to make jokes too.
Right. Like, you don't have to pay that much to write someone to write just
a joke person, a lyric person, anything. Because the other thing too is, I want to say, I would guess, the rhyming was either more or less in the script. Because at one point the kid says, "Stop rhyming," and then the rhymes go away for like 35 minutes.
They sort of appear and they reappear.
Because at first he's rhyming the whole time, which, again, makes me think they watched Aladdin, because when the genie shows up, the first thing we get is a musical number. But then it goes away because the kid goes, "Can you stop doing that?" And the script goes, "Thank God," because we were out of rhymes to begin with. But like, as the rest of it goes on, the beat improves and the pacing improves, but the rhymes don't get better. No. The lyrics are terrible. No. Okay, so my final thoughts before we cut to the other two. This movie needs to be seen with people. Now, the old cliche for Matt, and he might say the same thing, I don't know. You have to see it once. I agree. You need to see this one once, but you can't watch this alone. This is one where you've had your like Delta 8 gummy, or you've had a beer, because you need to see this to believe it. Because so much of this is just like ambient spaces on a backlot. There's, again, serious threat of violence against these. This isn't like a puckish, like, "Ooh, I'll get you." No. We're going to shove this key, I thought, down your throat. Matt immediately went rectal.
Either way, there's orifices involved.
And then
so many orify.
Gang mafia beatdowns, and the protagonist is actually straight up killed at one point.
Dude, the kid is thrown through a thing, through like a elevator shaft. The dad is bound and gagged and presumably beaten to death. Kids movie. I don't know what to tell you. This is absurd. Don't watch it because you want to see your... You know what? We should share a movie with the children. No. This is for Zennials who have broken their will to live. And you know what? Then you'll watch a charming commercial where Shaq is with the general, and then you'll be like, "This guy, he can rap?" And you're like, "You know what? He has 4 rap albums on Spotify." Whoo! Keiko, how are you?
I'm crying.
Thank you.
I'm with you guys. I know, Nick, what you said, watch it with people, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, yes, this movie is bad. Like, it sucks. You know, it helps if you watched it as a kid. I did. And then I tried to show it to my kids, and they actually liked it. But
you gotta watch a lot more of this.
It was also weird, you know. But watching it with a group of adults was really fun. I have to say, it was a lot of fun. There are bad movies that are just bad and they're not fun, and there are bad movies that are fun, and this is a fun one. Yeah. That's it.
As I mentioned earlier, this movie is entertaining because it is just so bad. I suppose, watch it with your friends for Mystery Science Theater 3000 it. Yeah. Because that part is fun. Yeah. And of course, Shaq beats the shit out of a bunch of gangsters.
And children.
Well, they try and beat on him first. There's like a bunch of some middle school punks try to beat on a 7 foot tall man. Yeah, that was weird.
That's why middle schoolers don't mess with me anymore. Yeah.
Anymore.
You know, I grew up. There I am, tall, bold, fat. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening, tuning in. We will continue Keiko's Month next week as we do Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Previous episode, or we've already recorded that one. It was actually it was a good episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. You're laughing at me.
He's reinforced. He's trying to make me feel better. No, that was a good one. Everybody liked that one.
No, yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seconded. Here. Yeah. Loved it.
Awesome. Well, your month is our, so traditionally, November has been like the family movies month. Right? Yeah. So it's November. We're halfway through November. This episode's coming out the week before Thanksgiving. So there you go. So stay tuned next week. In the future, we're going to put more movies from your past on trial. But in the meantime, thanks for listening, because we are rapidly approaching our 500th episode. This is 486, I think. And so thanks for doing everything you do to keep us on the charts, keep us internationally interesting. And for those Russian bots who have stopped listening, we don't miss you. We're fine. Thank you for the real people who listen. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. We're out. Myopia Movies is a podcast production of Dude Letter Podcasting and is produced by Nick Hoffman. It is edited by Nerd Trinet and Daniel Suttis, and is hosted by Nick Hoffman, with production assistance by Matthew Quinn, Daniel Suttis, and Nerd Trinet. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution for License, Creative Commons /licenses by /4.0. Thanks.